Welcome to The New Industrialist, a video series that explores innovation in the industrial space. I am Bogobowicz and I'll be your host and guide through this conversation. And I'm here with Tyler Newcombe. And Tyler is an industry developer for CPG at Siemens. Tyler, that is quite an unusual title. Where does it come from? What do you do?
What my group really focuses on is industry strategy and how we're going to help our customers, right? So if we take a look at the landscape right now, it's evolving every day. We have new technologies that are coming out constantly. AI is evolving, right? Siemens is always procuring new companies as well. So how do we fit those pieces of the puzzle together so that we can bring the right solutions to our customers?
So you bring and match strategy with the needs of your customers.
Bingo.
Okay, great. And then you do this for the CPG industry.
Yes.
What is a CPG industry? Tell me.
So consumer packaged goods, right? So it's pretty much everything that you'd go to a store and buy, right? So whether you're going to a Target or a Walmart, anything that you're walking down the aisles and it has, a pretty package on it with artwork and all the good stuff inside, that's a CPG product.
So CPG is a very broad concept. A lot of things have to happen to deliver those goods to us as consumers.
Yes.
You have to engineer them, you have to design them, then you have to make them, then you have to ship them. There's a whole supply chain attached to it. Where is the opportunity that you are now seeing with CPG? Which of those components really matter right now?
Yeah, the whole thing. Complete transparency. The entire value chain is critically important, and it has its own complexity compared to other industries because of the sheer volume that they're interacting with, right? So when I talk with a lot of my engineering counterparts internally who really know aircrafts and cars and things like that, they're talking about, dozens to hundreds, of designs that they're making, and those changes are fairly easy to follow. But when we're talking about a raw material change up in the design area that leads to an artwork change that could then lead to a packaging change on the shop floor, right? These are thousand-folds of changes that we have to interact with, and it's throughout the entire supply chain.
And then how do you connect the dots? How do you make sure that the engineering matches the actual production, matches support, matches logisticals and supply chain components? What does it mean to bring it together?
Yeah, great question. So Siemens is uniquely positioned with our digital threads to make that happen, right? So there have been phenomenal solutions for years out there that really specialize in different areas of the value chain, but they're silos of data, right? So over the last decade or so, we've really been working on digital threads, connecting those business processes specific for different industries so that you can make sure that those changes flow through the ecosystem appropriately. Digital threads are where it's at.
And where would you start? If you're a customer, if you're one of those CPG customers and when you hear this, it's a complete picture. It's the 360 that you have to pay attention to. The data matters. The data from different systems have to flow into each other. And then you have to layer AI on top of it. Love it. But where do I start? Do I start with the data or can I start my journey with AI?
Every customer is a little bit different, right? One of the big things that I always preach is we have to take corporate culture into account, right? So even look-alike accounts. You might have two large CPGs that are producing personal care products out there. They might look almost identical, but their corporate cultures are different. How they go after these solutions is going to be distinctly different. The one caveat that I'll say is we don't need to rush into AI. AI should not be viewed as the easy button that you just plug in and it's going to do everything for you, right? We have to start with solid foundations. So whether it's a PLM solution or if we're talking about simulation or if we're talking about manufacturing execution, we have to get the solid foundations so that we can build the house on top of that and enable AI to give us good results back.
I love it. So it really starts with the foundation. Once you have it in place, where do you see the benefits first? Where does AI can layer over that data to make a difference for a CPG customer?
Sure. So again, not a one size fits all. We happen to have a CPG customer right now, very large in the beverage space, that's using the foundational model with PLM to really advance some of their digital strategy that they have, right? So they're producing physical goods, but they're starting to recognize the benefit of what if I could design this virtually first? What if I could create the next best flavored flavored beverage first, right? And then put that in a new uniquely shaped bottle. Maybe it's a little bit more ergonomic, so if you're running, right, you can have a sports drink with a new flavor that's not gonna slip out of your how do I ensure that that's going to be manufactured appropriately in our plants? Do we have the equipment today? If we don't, what do I need to do? So allowing AI to help us kind of connect the dots and answer these what if type questions is very powerful.
And that's one of the most difficult transitions from engineering, from product design into production. Because really you have two engineering processes. You have the product engineering and then you have production engineering. How does Siemens think about it? How do you think about those two pieces? Are they becoming the same or are they becoming even more separate than they used to be?
There's really two elements with this maybe that I'd like to think of. One, they're going to stay separate in a way because they're doing very separate things, right? One's designing and one's producing. But just because they're separate entities doesn't mean that we can't have them converge and collaborate together. So one of the most common conversations that I'm having with customers today is how are we going to facilitate that conversation? So via the digital threads, right? We create a digital collaboration backbone that enables R&D to seamlessly talk with their manufacturing counterparts. So if we get just a little bit more technical, what that really means is having your engineering BOM or your design BOM directly connected with your manufacturing BOM so that when a change happens on the R&D side, it flows through to manufacturing appropriately. You're both able to talk in your own terms, but you're focused on the same data set. You're focused on producing a can of something or a package of something.
So now we're all seeing the same data set. The processes are beginning to collapse. You have different organizations coming together. What happens to those organizations and to those people? Do the customers you work with rethink the organizational structure because of what you're enabling?
So I don't know if there's necessarily a rethinking of the organization structure, but the important thing is none of this is removing employees or removing people from the chain, right? What it's doing is it's allowing them to do more exciting things faster, remove the mundane, remove the system calculation aspect, focus on the fun stuff, the new flavors, the new innovations, the optimization of things that are already out there.
Tyler, so with all this change that's happening to your customers, the one that you're able to bring to your customers, what is the one advice that you would give to somebody who wants to go through this process?
So I'm going to cheat and I'm going to do two pieces on it because I think it's important. First of which is create a strategy, right? We need to have a holistic strategy out there so that you know what you're running towards. The second is don't be afraid to get started, right? Find a partner like Siemens who has kind of a purview of the entire end-to-end chain, and let's talk about that strategy, right? We work with so many different industries out there. We've seen so many different use cases. We know some of the areas to maybe stay away from, and we know some of the areas that are probably good ways to get started. Don't be afraid to have the conversation, and don't be afraid of the technology that's out there.
Tyler, can you give me an example of your most recent project, something that with a really impact that you would want to share?
Plant simulation is one of the coolest technologies that we have available, and it's something that I personally think that any manufacturer should adopt. And what it's typically been able to do is allow you to virtualize, digitalize your entire plant set of operations and understand where your bottlenecks are, right? When we layer on some of the sustainability initiatives, what we're able to do is really make sure that we're, one, developing products up front that are going to fit the existing guidelines, but then we can also take it and we can start to look at other initiatives like energy utilization. Is it a process that's so optimized that we can run it on a third shift nearly autonomously when energy costs are lower? Are there ways that we can maybe lightweight certain things like bottle designs so that we're actually removing carbon from the end-to-end process for them?
Tyler, thank you so much. Thank you for being on the Industrialist, and thank you for having this conversation with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.